If success is feeling heavier than it needs to be right now, I want you to listen up, because I've created this video exactly for you, because I want to help you understand what is actually happening beneath the surface. Because we could talk about burnout, we could talk about productivity, we could talk about systems, we could talk about a whole mirage of things that could be potentially at play. But I want to talk about something more beneficial for you. I want to talk about something that's going to give you way more clarity, and I want to talk about something that's going to completely set you up for success. Because all of those conversations that we have up here is what every other mentor could tell you. I want to tell you what I see firsthand in my own life and what I see every single day in the coaches that I help build a new operating system, so that the success that they experience and achieve, they actually can feel. Let me talk to you about that. So, in giving you more clarity as to what might be actually happening for you, I just want to tell you a conversation that I had with one of the newest Mavericks that joined HHP recently. And we were on our first call, and usually that first call is getting to know each other. It's kind of like me getting to know them a little bit more, them asking me any questions that they need. And it started off like this. I always think that people are coming to me talking about wanting to perform at a higher level, but this was a little bit different. So they joined, they came on the call, and they said, my performance isn't something that I want to speak about today. Like, cool, love this. Straight off the bat, we were diving straight into it. I'm like, okay, tell me what it is. And they said, my performance isn't that question. I know I can hit all the metrics. I know I can perform at the highest possible level. I just want to understand, is it possible to be able to succeed without feeling like I'm underwater while I'm doing it? And I sat back in my chair, because I cannot begin to tell you the amount of conversations I have with so many high performers who have that exact same experience, and the bravery and the courage of this incredible human being just to say, I want to do things differently. And being honest, being brave, being courageous to say, I don't know what that looks like, but all I know is I just don't want more of this. Okay? So I think that was magic. And the reason I'm sharing it is because I also think it's going to be magic for you, because a lot of the times when I speak to high performers and I ask them this question of what has built your success to this point, and what I would challenge you to do right now is to pause this video and just write down what has built your success up until this point. What would you say? So just write a statement on it right now. So pause this video and come back. So now that you're back, chances are I can probably safely maybe assume that what you wrote down on that piece of paper in terms of statement is that you're a grafter. What has built your success so far to this date has been hard work, grit, determination, tenacity. And you know what? You're not wrong. You're right. It probably has built this level. It probably has built such massive success. But how are you feeling internally? Because if you're anything like this client that came to me for the very first time a few weeks ago, this is the statement they said. I have all the success. I have the house, I have the car, I have the family, I have everything that I could possibly need. I just don't want success to feel so heavy anymore. And they weren't talking about externally heavy, they were talking about internally heavy. So just a quick audit for you. How are you feeling within your success right now? Because I know if I reflect back on my life, me in my success up until the last couple of years was chaotic. It was exhausting. It was terrifying at times. It was filled with lots of, I don't know if I want more of this, even though I'm very ambitious and I'm very driven. But how I feel right now, I just seem to be questioning even if I want more. And that was a big mindfuck for me, because I am a very ambitious person. I just felt like I was losing my ambition or even my want to progress. And as a result of that, I felt like I was losing a lot of myself. But in that process, what was actually happening for me, and much like a lot of the clients that I work with, is they get stuck up here. Got stuck up in my head. All the what ifs and trying to solve everything with thinking, when in reality, I just needed to connect into, well, how am I actually feeling right now? How am I feeling within my success right now? If I was to define it in a sentence, like, is it enjoyable? Does it feel free? Does it feel expansive? Does it feel like mine, or do I feel trapped? Do I feel like I have more responsibility? Am I avoiding the next level because I don't want more of what I currently have? And when we get into the weeds of things, A lot of mentors will talk about productivity hacks, they'll talk about systems, they'll talk about a lot of things, but what they'll fail to talk about is some of the most important work that you can do for yourself. Because if you've answered similar to my clients will answer, hard work, dedication, tenacity, determination, that has built my success to this point, with a sprinkle of pressure and a sprinkle of I'll fucking show you, you're not wrong. And you're right, it has built your success, but the fuel and the quality of fuel behind it is the reason your success feels so heavy right now. The quality of fuel is the reason why when you hit a milestone, you don't feel excited, you don't feel like proud, you feel relief, and then you feel pressure again. Because you don't want to do more of what you're currently doing, but you think that that's the only way to get to your next level. And then you're starting to doubt yourself because you're like, am I even ambitious if I don't want this next level? And you get caught up in this like mental ping pong back and forth between I know I'm driven and I know I want to move forward, but I still don't want more of what I currently have, and therefore I'm just stuck in this kind of like ping pong back and forth between what I desire versus what I currently have, and I don't want more of this. So when we look at this, if we talk about fuel for a second, I just want to give you my own personal story of when I started my photography business, so before coaching ever existed. A lot of people told me that before I was going to kind of start my own business that it wouldn't really be a success, and not because like they doubted me, but just in general they were just a bit doubtful. They had never done anything or seen anything like it before. I had never done anything like it before, and they were probably just cautious. But it built up this strong kind of like, fucking I'll show you. Like I had this like drive and this tenacity to just throw my two fingers up and be like, I'm fucking going for it and I'll show you. And obviously then it worked, because 3 years later I was running a 6-figure photography business. So on paper, absolutely incredible. Internally, completely flatlined. Running on adrenaline, could never switch off, was answering emails in bed, was answering emails at the dinner table, felt like everything was so urgent. I felt like if I missed an email, if I was even a couple of minutes late sending somebody back, like a response to their inquiry, I'd lose a client. And everything was built on this fear of losing. And I thought that was normal. I thought that that was just part of the picture. I thought that was just what it took. And I remember that the point for me is that I was standing in a wedding, and I'll speak about this. If you follow me for a long time, you'll just be like, you've told me this already. But it was one of the moments that completely changed how I was like going to operate, because I got my gallbladder out with 3 cysts removed, so like a fairly big fucking surgery, right? On a Tuesday, and a couple of days later, I had to go and stand and do a 14-hour wedding day. Put my face on, put my mask on, and be like, hey, I'm so excited. And I genuinely was. But I just remember standing in the kitchen of that house that morning of the wedding going, this isn't it. Like, if my business can't give me the time to prioritize my health, what am I building? And before this, like, if you had asked me why I started my business, the answer is still the same today, by the way. Freedom. Time freedom. And to some degree I had it, right? But if I look at freedom as a full picture concept, I didn't have internal freedom. I was building external freedom, maybe a semblance of financial freedom, but emotional, mental, and physical freedom I didn't have. And when I say physical, it's like I felt like I couldn't prioritize myself. I felt so trapped, and I felt so not at peace. Like I was at war with myself. I didn't know it at the time, but I was like going against my values all the time, like every single day. Like, I'm a big family person. I want to be present for the people that I'm with. I believe in integrity, and I wanted to stand for that. But I couldn't. I remember like being on holidays. I remember being at the dinner table. I remember all those moments where I was fucking on my phone or on my laptop, thinking that was what I needed to do. And for me, it was creating this sense of like urgency, this building through the sense of fear, like fear of missing out, fear of losing out, fear that if I didn't say yes, I wouldn't like get more, and that's what built my success. So it's no wonder that from a freedom perspective I had fucking none of it when it came to an internal perspective. And the reason I say that is because a lot of what built me was proving, pleasing, and working really fucking hard. But what happens for a lot of high performers is there's often like two phases to this journey, right? It's no surprise that when you're starting out, you have to graft and you have to put the work in, right? But if you're putting the work in to prove yourself, if you're putting the work in also to, prove yourself to yourself or somebody else, if you need and rely on pressure to get you going, or if you are running away from losing, from the fear of being average. Like I had a client say to me before that I hate losing more than I love winning. So what drives me is to not lose. That's the thing that gets me going rather than winning. And I found it really interesting because there's almost this like running away from something. And again, the next phase is realizing that I can no longer operate this way. And I think what will happen in this for a lot of people is if you're at that point right now, what I call that is like a transition point where how you've always operated is no longer giving you what you need. It's no longer like what you want, right? So I'm still, if you put me at default, reset me to factory settings, I will fall back into grafting, I will fall back into hard work, I will fall back into like tenacity and determination and fucking put the blinkers on and be a racehorse and go in that one direction and forget about everything else. That comes very easy to me, right? And what I've built up over time is, which is what I want to give to you now, is a new fuel source, which is going to take practice, and it's going to take giving your nervous system new experiences to be able to set that up. So, for example, it when I look at this, right, it's the fuel behind it is a lot of what scares high performers. Right now, I'm not saying you need to take my fuel source. My fuel source now is alignment. It's trust. It's clarity. It's this calmness that I feel like if I'm not building out of calmness, I'm not building what's mine, and that's a genuine belief of mine, right? So when we're looking at switching up fuel sources and how success gets to feel like yours and also gets to be something that you can feel, right? What we need to look at is the fuel that's driving it. So right now, the questions to ask yourself is, when you go to do things, is there a need for pressure? Is there a need for deadlines? Is there a need for like something to get you going? And just have that honest conversation with yourself. Like, what has built your success right now? What did you write down when you wrote that out? And when we get to this point, then it's like, okay, well, if I want to build in a new way, the next question to ask yourself is, how do you want to feel within your success? Because that becomes your direction, that becomes your vision, and it becomes your roadmap for your new fuel. So, for example, for me, is like I want to feel internally free as I build my success. I want to not be at war with myself. I want to not be at war with my values. So now I have direction. I want to align with my values, and I know that once I align with my values for the business that I'm building, I will be able to then feel more internally at ease. Yeah, and I wanted my business to feel at ease, and don't get that mixed up with easy, because a lot of people discount that when I say that word because they think it's like, well, I don't want my business to be easy. No, but you want to feel at ease while you're doing it, because when you feel at ease, you will do your fucking best work. You will have more ideas than you know what to create with, and you will have more clarity than you know what to do with, because now the fuel is different. It comes from a place of trust. To come back to this now, when you have clarity of how you actually want to feel, then we come into the last question, and it's the tactical thing that I want to give you, right? Is when you've always relied on hard work, determination, grit, pressure, and all that kind of stuff to get you going, there's only probably one or two levers that you really trust in. Hard work, pressure, determination. Whichever, like one or two of them that you resonate with, they're the levers that you trust right now. So when pressure hits, when you know you need to get shit done, you just pull that lever and you're good to go. But inside that, right, are so many strengths and characteristic traits. So what I'd like you to do is, whether you've written hard work, whether you've written pressure, whatever one was the dominant one for you in terms of your fuel source at the start of this, I want you to write that at the top of an A4 sheet of paper. And then I want you to distill the strengths from it. So when I look at this, the easiest question to ask if it's kind of difficult for you when it comes to strengths is this. Whatever you work at right now, whether it's whatever industry, whatever you do, write down your title and be like, what makes me fucking shit hot at that? Like, what makes me be the, in my case, the coach that I am? What are the qualities that allow me to do that? So for me, for example, it would be intuition, it would be thoughtfulness, it would be listening, it would be caring. Write all of them down, because guess what? When you start to know the strengths behind the lever, right? The hard work is the umbrella, right? In the old lever. You're gonna now have the strengths within that. So it could be like resourcefulness, organization, discipline. The more information that you can give on like what has built you in a strength capacity, or what makes you the fucking amazing, insert whatever you are here, then we're going to take those and bring them over and be like, okay, if I'm to utilize and trust being the word, trust these like bigger sets of skills, i.e. listening, caring, fucking my intuition, loads of different things that you'll write down. If I'm to trust these, how would I operate differently? Right? If I started to now know that I just don't have one lever to pull, I've got like fucking 20, 30 and they're mine, right? Rather than this one holy grail of hard work or pressure. It's like, well, I can rely on my intuition, I can rely on my organization, I can rely on my like resourcefulness, I can rely on my listening, I can rely on my, like all these things. I'm speaking on my behalf. But when you get yours, then you get to see, okay, well now I can operate a different way. And what I'd like you to do from that then is basically just start putting one into practice. So for example, if organization came in and you're someone who leaves things to the last minute, the new tactical step from that is to give your nervous system a new way of operating. You have to give it a new experience, right? So at the moment, what is happening is everything that you've always done up to this point has been based on this one lever. So it'll wait for that lever. And that's why a lot of high performers will say, I love pressure, like pressure gets me going. Okay, but if you rely on pressure, I can also guarantee that you probably leave things to the last minute because you're waiting and needing that pressure to get you going, because pressure is what you trust. Whereas if you have identified that within that there's also like organization, there's discipline, there's, you know, resourcefulness, those three, I want to rely on them now rather than pressure. So if I rely on my organization, if I rely on my resourcefulness, and if I rely on my discipline, I need to be disciplined now, right? So rather than leaving things to the last minute, I'm now going to be disciplined in creating organization, sticking to that organization, and then being resourceful in terms of if there's anything that I need, I'm going to ask for those resources. Now I'm utilizing a whole new set of strengths, giving my nervous system an absolutely new experience. And after that, I want you to just inform that experience of like, fucking hell, here was the benefit. Instead of leaving things to the last minute, I actually just spent a little bit more of an extra time doing it. And now the result I got from that was X, Y, and Z. I felt better, I felt calmer, I felt cleaner, it got me better results, it got me better connection. Inform and give feedback back to the action that you've just taken. Why am I saying that? Because if you want to create a new identity, you got to do a bit of double work, right? And that will create an identity way quicker. And what I mean by double work is taking the action to change up how you've always operated is just the first step. The second step is that you need to provide, like, inform it back, right? I did this, here was what I felt, here was the benefit to me, here's why I'm going to do it again. And what you'll be doing there is giving your nervous system and your mind a whole set of new information that matches the belief and the identity that you want to create. And therefore, as a result of that, like forming it quicker. So I would love for you to go and try that. Making it tactical, giving you a new fuel source to be able to actually operate at a completely different level so that success can feel like yours, but also lighter, right? And it gets to feel light. Give yourself permission for it to feel light. And just because it feels light doesn't mean it won't be of quality. In fact, I will put my house in it that the more that you rely on a new fuel source, calmness, resourcefulness, all of those fucking incredible strengths, utilized and harnessed in a new way, it brings you up to a completely new level. And I can guarantee you that the quality of what you do will be far superior than what you're already currently doing, right? So I would love you to go and try that, because this is about beliefs, it's about standards, it's about identity, but it's also about giving yourself the best possible chance to succeed in a way that allows you to feel just amazing while you do it, right? And also I guarantee it'll buy you back time as well. that's for a new conversation. I'll be able to help you to do something with that in the end. But if you found this helpful, what I'd love you to do is share it with someone who you might know that also might be like, hey, fuck it, we'll be accountability buddies together. We'll do this together, and just bring them along the journey as well if you feel like they might benefit. And then just like and subscribe, because I am genuinely mission driven to bring a lot of this message forward, so that my mission for 2026 is help people build success beyond their wildest dreams, but also feel light and fucking expansive and whatever it is that they want to feel, i.e., don't feel heavy while they're doing it. That is my mission, and that's what I want to help you with. And I hope that you enjoyed this.